Ladies and gentlemen, fellow dreamers and doers, let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like life is moving faster than you are? That the opportunities you once dreamed of are slipping through your fingers because you're stuck in a cycle of waiting for the right moment, the right mood, or the right time? Here's the truth, and it might sting. Life doesn't slow down to wait for you. The clock keeps ticking. The world keeps turning. And success rewards action, not intention, not potential, but action. You see, here in America, we celebrate the idea of the self-made man, the self-made woman. But let me tell you what that really means. It doesn't mean someone who had it easy. It means someone who forced themselves to get up, to show up, and to put in the work day in and day out, no matter how they felt. So today, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything for you. I'm here to remind you of your power to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. The power to stop waiting and start winning. Let's break it down into 6 key principles to help you force yourself to get things done. Motivation is a fascinating force. It often feels like the fuel that gets us moving, the spark that ignites our ambitions and pushes us toward our goals. But here's the thing about motivation: it's fleeting. It's unpredictable, unreliable, and inconsistent. One day you wake up feeling inspired, ready to conquer the world, and the next day you might find yourself struggling to even get out of bed. Motivation comes and goes like the wind, but discipline is what stays. It is the foundation, the bedrock of every success story. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't offer the same rush of excitement that motivation does. It's not the fiery speech or the big idea that lights up your mind with possibilities. Discipline is quiet. It's the decision to show up, to do the work, even when you don't feel like it. It's the act of choosing to focus on the long-term benefits over the short-term discomfort. That's what makes discipline so powerful. It doesn't depend on your mood, your circumstances, or the alignment of the stars. It depends only on your commitment. Imagine an athlete training for the Olympics. Do you think they feel motivated every single day? Do you think they wake up every morning with a smile, ready to push their body to its limits? Of course not. There are days when they are sore, tired, and tempted to skip their workout. But they don't. They train because they understand the value of discipline. They know that every day of training, no matter how small, brings them closer to their goal. They know that motivation might get them started, but discipline is what will carry them across the finish line. Now let's bring it closer to home. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt the spark of motivation to start something, a new fitness routine, a business idea, or even just cleaning the house? And how many times has that spark fizzled out after a few days or weeks? This happens because we often wait for motivation to carry us forward, but motivation is not a reliable partner. It's like waiting for a sunny day to go for a run. If you only rely on sunny days, you'll rarely get out there. Discipline, on the other hand, is like running in all-weather rain or shine. You lace up your shoes and go. The beauty of discipline is that it grows stronger the more you practice it. At first, it might feel like a struggle. Waking up early to exercise, sitting down to write that report, or staying late to perfect your craft might feel like a monumental effort. But over time, these actions become habits. Habits don't require the same mental energy as decisions. They become part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. And that's where the magic happens when discipline turns into habit. Success becomes inevitable. Some people wait for motivation as if it's a magical force that will transform their lives. They say, I'll start when I feel ready, or I'll do it when the time is right. But the truth is, waiting for motivation is a trap. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of inaction. The time will never be perfect, and you may never feel fully ready. The secret is to act anyway. Discipline is about taking action in spite of how you feel. It's about creating your own momentum instead of waiting for it to appear. Think about someone you admire, maybe a successful entrepreneur, a renowned artist, or a respected leader. What sets them apart isn't just their talent or intelligence. It's their discipline. It's their ability to do the hard work, day in and day out, regardless of whether they feel like it. They've trained themselves to rely on discipline, not motivation, to get things done. They've mastered the art of showing up, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. There's a common misconception that discipline is restrictive, that it takes the joy out of life. But in reality, discipline is what gives you freedom. When you have discipline, you're in control of your actions. You're not at the mercy of your moods or external circumstances. Discipline allows you to create the life you want because it gives you the power to follow through on your goals. It helps you build confidence because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you can achieve what you set out to do. So how do you cultivate discipline? It starts with small steps. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start by setting a simple goal and sticking to it. Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier each day, or writing 100 words every evening, or committing to one workout a week. These small actions might not seem like much, but they're building a foundation. Each time you follow through, you're proving to yourself that you can be disciplined. Another key to building discipline is to focus on your why. Why is this goal important to you? What will achieving it mean for your life? When you have a clear sense of purpose, it's easier to push through the discomfort. Your why is what keeps you going when motivation fades. It's the light at the end of the tunnel that reminds you why the effort is worth it. It's also important to forgive yourself for setbacks. Discipline doesn't mean being perfect. There will be days when you slip up, when you miss a workout, or procrastinate on a task. What matters is how you respond to those moments. Instead of giving up, get back on track as quickly as possible. Remember, discipline is about persistence, not perfection. The choice is simple. You can wait for motivation and hope it shows up, or you can rely on discipline and take control of your life. Discipline is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you come from, how much talent you have, or what challenges you face. If you cultivate discipline, you can achieve remarkable things. Motivation is temporary, but discipline is forever. It's the force that turns dreams into reality. It's the reason why some people succeed while others only talk about it. So don't wait for motivation to strike. Start building discipline today. Show up, do the work, and watch as your life transforms. Sometimes we look at the enormity of our goals and feel overwhelmed. The big picture, our dreams, ambitions, and aspirations can feel so massive that we don't even know where to begin. It's like staring at a mountain from the base, wondering how on earth we're going to reach the peak. The truth is, you don't climb a mountain in one giant leap. You climb it step by step, one foot in front of the other, until you look back and realize how far you've come. This is why starting small is so powerful. It might feel insignificant at first, like you're barely making progress, but those small actions compound over time. Every step, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goal. The magic lies in consistency. It's not about how much you do in a single day. It's about showing up every day and doing something. Think of a dripping faucet. A single drop of water doesn't seem like much, but over time, those drops can fill an entire bucket. The same is true for your efforts. Each small action, each drop of effort adds up to something meaningful. The key is to keep going, to keep adding those drops, even when it feels like they're not making a difference, because they are. Let's say you have a goal to improve your fitness. The idea of running 5 miles a day or going to the gym 5 times a week might feel daunting. So instead of focusing on that big goal, start small. Commit to a 10-minute walk every day, just 10 minutes. It might not feel like much, but it's a start. And once you've established that habit, you can build on it. Maybe you extend your walk to 20 minutes, or you start jogging for part of it. Over time, those small steps add up, and before you know it, you're running those 5 miles. The beauty of starting small is that it removes the intimidation factor. When a task feels overwhelming, we're more likely to avoid it altogether. But when the task feels manageable, we're more likely to take action. And action is the key to momentum. Once you take that first step, the second step feels a little easier. Then the third and the fourth. Momentum builds as you keep moving forward. And what once felt impossible starts to feel achievable. Think about a writer working on a book. The idea of writing an entire book can feel overwhelming. Where do you even begin? How do you turn a blank page into a finished manuscript? The answer is simple, one word at a time. One sentence, one paragraph, one page. A writer who commits to writing just 500 words a day can finish a novel in a few months. It's not about the size of the daily effort, it's about the consistency of that effort over time. Small wins also build confidence. Each time you accomplish a small task, you're proving to yourself that you can do it. You're building a track record of success, and that success fuels your belief in your ability to tackle bigger challenges. It's a positive feedback loop. The more you accomplish, the more confident you feel, and the more confident you feel, the more you accomplish. It's important to celebrate those small wins too. Don't dismiss them as insignificant. Every step forward is a step worth acknowledging. Maybe you've been meaning to start a business, and today you took the first step by registering your domain name. That's a win. Maybe you've been putting off decluttering your home, and today you cleaned out one drawer. That's a win. These small victories are proof that you're making progress, and they deserve to be celebrated. When you start small, you're also setting yourself up for sustainability. Big, dramatic efforts can be hard to maintain over the long term. It's like sprinting at the beginning of a marathon. You might make a lot of progress initially, but you'll burn out quickly. Small, consistent efforts are like a steady jog. They might not be as flashy, but they're much more sustainable. Imagine you're saving money for a big purchase or an emergency fund. If you try to save a huge amount all at once, it might feel impossible. But if you commit to saving a small amount each week, $10, $20, whatever, you can manage those small contributions add up over time. Before you know it, you've built a significant savings. The same principle applies to any goal. Starting small also teaches you discipline. It's not about the size of the action, it's about the act of doing it. When you commit to a small daily action, you're training yourself to follow through on your commitments. You're building the habit of showing up, which is the foundation of discipline. And once you've built that habit, you can apply it to bigger goals. One of the biggest obstacles to starting small is the belief that it's not enough, that small actions don't matter. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Small actions are everything. They're the seeds that grow into something greater. A mighty oak tree starts as a tiny acorn. A marathon runner starts with a single step. Every great achievement begins with something small. When you start small, you're also learning as you go. You're figuring out what works and what doesn't, adjusting your approach and gaining valuable experience. This learning process is just as important as the progress you're making. It's not just about reaching the goal, it's about growing along the way. Starting small is a strategy that works in every area of life. Whether you're pursuing a career goal, improving your health, learning a new skill, or building relationships, the principle is the same. Small, consistent efforts lead to big results over time. It's not about doing everything at once, it's about doing something every day. The most important thing is to start. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Just start. Take one small step today and another tomorrow and another the day after that. Trust the process and trust yourself. You have everything you need to succeed. It's just a matter of taking that first step and committing to the journey. As you build momentum through small wins, you'll find that the process becomes easier. What once felt like a struggle becomes second nature. The small steps you're taking today are laying the foundation for your future success. And when you look back on your journey, you'll realize that those small actions weren't small at all. They were the building blocks of something extraordinary. So start small, stay consistent, and keep moving forward. One step at a time, one day at a time, you're creating the life you want. Procrastination is a trap that almost everyone falls into at some point. It whispers lies in your ear, convincing you that tomorrow is a better day to start, that there's no harm in waiting just a little longer. But the truth about procrastination is this: it's not a harmless delay, it's a thief. It steals your time, your progress, and your dreams. The longer you let it linger, the harder it becomes to break free. The challenge with procrastination is that it feels comforting in the moment. It provides temporary relief from the pressure of a task or decision, lulling you into a false sense of security. I'll do it later, you tell yourself. But later becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next week, and before you know it, opportunities have passed you by. The weight of what you've postponed begins to grow, and instead of being a small hurdle, the task becomes a mountain in your mind. The only way to defeat procrastination is to act immediately, even if it's in the smallest way. Action, no matter how small, breaks the cycle of hesitation and builds momentum. When you're faced with a task you're tempted to put off, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now to move this forward? Maybe it's writing the first sentence of a report, making a single phone call, or even just gathering the tools you need. That first action is like unlocking a door. Once it's open, it's much easier to step through. Procrastination often feeds on the fear of imperfection. You hesitate to start because you're afraid you won't do it well enough, or you're unsure of the outcome. But here's the secret: you don't have to be perfect, you just have to begin. Taking imperfect action is far better than taking no action at all. In fact, the process of doing often reveals solutions and insights you couldn't see when you were stuck in a state of inaction. Another reason people procrastinate is that they view tasks as a whole, and the enormity of it feels overwhelming. If you think about writing an entire book, for example, it can feel paralyzing. But if you focus on writing just one paragraph or even one sentence, it becomes manageable. Breaking tasks into smaller pieces and tackling them one at a time is an incredibly effective way to overcome procrastination. You're not writing a book today, you're writing a sentence. You're not cleaning the whole house, you're tidying one corner. These smaller steps reduce the mental resistance that procrastination thrives on. There's also an emotional component to procrastination that shouldn't be overlooked. Often we delay tasks because they evoke discomfort, whether it's boredom, frustration, or anxiety. We'd rather scroll through our phones, binge watch a show, or do anything else that feels easier. But the discomfort of starting is temporary, and it's far outweighed by the satisfaction of making progress. When you choose to push through that initial discomfort and take action, you'll often find that the task isn't as difficult or unpleasant as you imagined. Accountability can also be a powerful tool in combating procrastination. When you share your goals or commitments with someone else, you create a sense of responsibility. It's no longer just about you, someone else is now invested in your progress. This external pressure can be the push you need to take action. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a colleague, having someone who holds you accountable can make all the difference. One of the most important strategies to beat procrastination is to create a sense of urgency. Deadlines, even self-imposed ones, can be incredibly motivating. They force you to focus and prioritize, cutting through the noise of distractions. When you give yourself a clear time frame to complete a task, you create a structure that counteracts procrastination. But remember, deadlines only work if you treat them as non-negotiable. Don't give yourself an easy out, hold yourself to the standard you would expect from others. Sometimes procrastination is a sign that you need to revisit your why. Why is this task important? What will it mean for your life, your career, or your relationships if you follow through? When you reconnect with the bigger picture, it becomes easier to push past the resistance. The task stops feeling like a burden and starts to feel like a stepping stone towards something meaningful. It's also worth examining the consequences of procrastination. What does it cost you? Think about the stress of rushing to meet a last-minute deadline, the regret of missed opportunities, or the disappointment of not achieving your goals. These are the prices you pay when you let procrastination take over. By acknowledging these consequences, you can motivate yourself to act, knowing that every moment of delay has a cost. On the flip side, consider the rewards of taking immediate action. There's a sense of pride and accomplishment that comes from doing what needs to be done. Each time you overcome procrastination, you strengthen your discipline and build confidence in your ability to tackle challenges. These small victories compound over time, creating a sense of momentum that propels you forward. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to counter procrastination is to create a dedicated space and time for your work. Eliminate distractions, set a timer, and commit to focusing on the task at hand for a specific period. Even 15 minutes of focused effort can be enough to break through the initial resistance. Once you start, you'll often find that you want to keep going. Procrastination is not a reflection of laziness or incompetence. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. The more you practice taking immediate action, the less power procrastination will have over you. It's about rewiring your brain to associate action with progress and reward, rather than fear or discomfort. Procrastination is a choice. Every time you delay a task, you're making a choice to prioritize something else, whether it's comfort, distraction, or avoidance. But every time you choose action, you're making a choice to prioritize your goals, your growth, and your future. The power to change lies in that choice. When you commit to acting now instead of waiting for the perfect moment, you're reclaiming control of your time and your life. The next time you're tempted to put something off, remind yourself the future you want starts with the action you take today. The task in front of you is an opportunity, not a burden. Don't let procrastination rob you of that opportunity. Take the first step, no matter how small, and trust that the rest will follow. Excuses are perhaps the most deceptive barriers we create for ourselves. They often sound reasonable and valid, and that's what makes them so dangerous. When we make excuses, we're not just avoiding a task or goal, we're creating a narrative that justifies our inaction. These narratives can become so ingrained that we start to believe them, even though they're nothing more than limitations we've placed on ourselves. If you want to move forward in life, one of the most critical steps is learning to stop making excuses and take ownership of your actions. The mind is a master storyteller, capable of spinning reasons why you shouldn't do something or why you can't succeed. I'm too tired, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources. These are the scripts we tell ourselves to avoid stepping outside our comfort zones. But if you examine these excuses closely, you'll often find that they're not based on facts, but on fear. Fear of failure, fear of effort, or even fear of success can drive us to create these barriers. The first step in breaking free from excuses is acknowledging them for what they are, a form of self-sabotage. Excuses might feel like shields protecting you from discomfort or risk, but in reality, they're prisons keeping you from your potential. Recognizing this is powerful because it shifts the narrative. Instead of seeing excuses as valid reasons, you begin to see them as obstacles you can overcome. One of the most common excuses people make is about time. I don't have enough time is a phrase that comes up repeatedly. But the truth is, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference lies in how you choose to use them. People who achieve great things don't have more time, they've simply learned to prioritize. They've realized that time is not something you find, it's something you make. When you stop making excuses about time, you start finding ways to use it more effectively. Another common excuse revolves around resources. I don't have enough money, connections, or knowledge to get started. While it's true that resources can make things easier, they're rarely the deciding factor in success. Some of the most successful people in the world started with nothing but an idea and a willingness to work hard. They didn't wait for perfect conditions, they took action with what they had. The reality is that resourcefulness is far more important than resources. When you stop making excuses about what you lack and focus on what you can do, you unlock creativity and possibilities. Excuses are often rooted in comparison. You look at someone else's success and think they had it easier or they're more talented than I am. This kind of thinking is not only unhelpful but also misleading. Everyone has their own challenges, struggles, and starting points. Comparing your journey to someone else's is like comparing apples to oranges. The only comparison that matters is the one you make with yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? That's the question to focus on. Taking ownership of your actions means accepting responsibility for your choices. It means saying, I didn't prioritize this instead of I didn't have time. It means admitting, I didn't prepare instead of blaming external circumstances. This level of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's also empowering. When you take responsibility, you reclaim control. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the creator of your outcomes. One way to break free from excuses is to reframe your thinking. Instead of focusing on why you can't do something, ask yourself, how can I make this happen? This shift in mindset turns obstacles into challenges to overcome. It activates your problem-solving skills and pushes you toward action. For example, if you're struggling to find time for a goal, instead of saying, I can't do this because I'm too busy, ask, what small step can I take today despite my busy schedule? This shift changes everything. Another strategy is to surround yourself with people who challenge your excuses. Find mentors, friends, or colleagues who push you to do better and hold you accountable. These are the people who won't let you settle for less than your potential. They'll call you out when you're making excuses and remind you of what you're capable of. Accountability is a powerful antidote to excuses because it forces you to face the gap between your words and your actions. It's also important to recognize that perfectionism often fuels excuses. The fear of not doing something perfectly can stop you from doing it at all. But perfection is an illusion. Waiting for perfect conditions or a perfect plan is just another way of procrastinating. Progress matters more than perfection. Taking imperfect action is what moves you forward. Each step, no matter how small or flawed, is a step closer to your goal. Excuses can also be a way of avoiding discomfort. Let's face it, pursuing a goal often involves hard work, sacrifices, and challenges. It's easier to say, I can't do this, because than to confront the discomfort head on. But growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. The discomfort you feel when you push yourself is a sign that you're growing, learning, and evolving. When you stop making excuses, you embrace this discomfort as a necessary part of the journey. One powerful way to eliminate excuses is to focus on your why. Why is this goal important to you? What will achieving it mean for your life, your family, or your future? When your why is strong enough, your excuses lose their power. They pale in comparison to the drive and passion that fuel your purpose. Every time you're tempted to make an excuse, remind yourself of your why. Let it be the force that pushes you to take action, no matter what. Excuses are habits, and like any habit, they can be changed. The more you practice replacing excuses with action, the easier it becomes. Start small. The next time you catch yourself making an excuse, pause and challenge it. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is this just a story I'm telling myself? Then take one small step forward. Over time, this practice becomes second nature and excuses lose their grip on you. Breaking free from excuses is about reclaiming your power. Every excuse you make is a moment where you give away that power to fear, to doubt, or to circumstances. But every time you take responsibility, you take responsibility. You take that power back. You become the driver of your life instead of a passenger. When you stop making excuses, you open the door to possibility. You realize that you're capable of far more than you imagined. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable shrink in the face of your determination. The time you used to spend justifying inaction is now spent making progress. Excuses are easy, but success is worth the effort. It's not about being perfect or never slipping up. It's about committing to the process, owning your actions, and refusing to let excuses hold you back. The next time you find yourself tempted to make an excuse, remember this: you have the power to choose action over inaction, growth over comfort, and progress over stagnation. Choose wisely and watch how your life transforms. Discipline is the cornerstone of any significant achievement in life. Without discipline, even the most ambitious goals remain out of reach, confined to the realm of dreams and wishful thinking. Discipline is the bridge between intention and action, the force that compels you to follow through on your commitments, even when the initial excitement has faded. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. And while discipline may not always be easy, it is always worth it. The challenge with discipline is that it requires you to override your natural inclination for comfort and instant gratification. As human beings, we are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. This instinct, while useful in certain situations, can become a barrier when pursuing long-term goals. Discipline asks you to delay gratification, to endure temporary discomfort for the sake of something greater. It's not about denying yourself happiness, it's about choosing a deeper, more lasting sense of fulfillment over fleeting moments of ease. One of the most important aspects of discipline is consistency. It's not about making a massive effort once and then letting it slip. Discipline requires you to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. It's in the daily actions, the small, seemingly insignificant choices, that success is built. Whether it's sticking to a workout routine, maintaining focus on a project, or committing to personal growth, discipline is about taking deliberate steps day in and day out until progress becomes inevitable. Discipline also demands that you confront and conquer your excuses. Every time you allow an excuse to dictate your actions, you weaken your resolve. Discipline requires honesty with yourself. It requires you to ask tough questions. Are you really too tired, or are you just avoiding effort? Is the task truly impossible, or are you simply afraid of failing? These moments of self-reflection are crucial because they force you to take responsibility for your actions or inaction. Discipline thrives in an environment of accountability. Another critical element of discipline is the ability to focus. In today's world, distractions are everywhere, pulling your attention in 100 different directions. Discipline helps you tune out the noise and focus on what truly matters. It's about saying no to things that don't align with your goals and priorities, even if they seem tempting in the moment. This kind of focus requires clarity. You need to know what you're working toward and why it's important to you. When you have a clear vision, discipline becomes easier because you're not just working for the sake of working, you're working with purpose. Motivation often plays a role in kickstarting your efforts, but discipline is what sustains them. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes based on your mood, energy levels, or external circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It doesn't rely on how you feel, it relies on the commitment you've made to yourself. Discipline is waking up early to work on your goals, even when the bed feels warm and inviting. It's saying no to distractions, even when they promise immediate satisfaction. It's putting in the effort, even when no one is watching. Discipline is also about learning to manage your time effectively. Time is a finite resource, and how you choose to spend it determines the trajectory of your life. Discipline helps you prioritize the things that matter most, ensuring that your time is spent in alignment with your goals. It's about creating routines and habits that support your aspirations rather than hinder them. For example, setting aside specific times for focused work, exercise, or self-care creates a structure that fosters discipline. Over time, these routines become second nature, making it easier to stay consistent. One of the greatest misconceptions about discipline is that it's restrictive or harsh. On the contrary, discipline is a form of self-care. It's about honoring your commitments to yourself and creating a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself for failing, it's about giving yourself the tools and mindset to succeed. When you approach discipline from a place of self-respect and love, it becomes a positive force rather than a burden. Discipline also teaches resilience. There will be days when you slip up, when you don't meet your own expectations or fall short of your goals. Discipline doesn't mean you never fail, it means you don't let failure define you. It's about getting back up, learning from your mistakes, and continuing to move forward. Each time you choose discipline over giving up, you build mental strength and confidence in your ability to persevere. A significant aspect of discipline is self-awareness. You need to understand your own tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses to build a disciplined life. For example, if you know you're prone to procrastination, discipline might mean setting up systems to hold yourself accountable. If you're easily distracted, it might mean creating an environment that minimizes interruptions. Discipline is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's a personalized strategy that requires you to be honest with yourself about what works and what doesn't. Another key to cultivating discipline is celebrating small victories along the way. Discipline doesn't mean you have to wait until the very end to acknowledge your progress. Recognizing and rewarding yourself for milestones, no matter how small, reinforces the positive behavior and keeps you motivated to continue. These celebrations don't have to be extravagant sometimes. A simple acknowledgement of your effort is enough to remind you of how far you've come. The beauty of discipline is that it spills over into every area of your life. When you develop discipline in one aspect, whether it's fitness, career, or personal development, it creates a ripple effect. The habits and mindset you cultivate in one area strengthen your ability to succeed in others. Discipline becomes a way of life, a foundation that supports all your endeavors. At its core, discipline is about freedom. While that may seem counterintuitive, consider this: when you lack discipline, you're a slave to impulses, distractions, and external circumstances. But when you cultivate discipline, you take control of your life. You gain the freedom to pursue your dreams, achieve your goals, and live in alignment with your values. Discipline is not a restriction, it's a liberation. Discipline is a choice. It's a choice you make every day in every moment when you decide to prioritize your future over temporary comfort. It's not always easy, and it's not always fun, but it is always worth it. The rewards of disciplined progress, growth, and fulfillment far outweigh the sacrifices it requires. And as you practice discipline, it becomes a part of who you are, a trait that defines your character and shapes your destiny. The first and perhaps the most fundamental step in forcing yourself to get things done is understanding the importance of setting clear, specific goals. A vague goal is like a destination without a map. It's easy to get lost and end up somewhere completely different than where you intended. On the other hand, a clear, specific goal gives you a roadmap to follow, providing direction and focus. If you want to achieve something, you must know exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish. When setting goals, it's essential to make them measurable. For example, rather than saying, I want to get fit, set a specific goal, like I want to run 5 miles in under 40 minutes within the next 3 months. This kind of goal is measurable, and it allows you to track your progress over time. The act of tracking progress keeps you engaged and motivates you to push forward. The more specific and measurable your goals, the clearer the path ahead becomes, and the less likely you are to get distracted or lose sight of your objectives. Once you have set your goals, the next critical step is breaking them down into smaller, manageable tasks. It's easy to become overwhelmed when looking at a large project or an ambitious goal, which can lead to procrastination. The key is to break down the goal into smaller, actionable steps. Instead of focusing on running 5 miles in 3 months, for instance, focus on starting with a 10-minute walk, then moving to a 15-minute jog. Each small action you take is a building block that eventually leads to the completion of the larger goal. By focusing on one task at a time, you eliminate the feeling of being overwhelmed and instead create a sense of accomplishment with each step you complete. A major barrier to getting things done is the tendency to let negative emotions like fear and doubt prevent us from taking action. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, and even fear of success can hold us back from making progress. When you allow these fears to control you, they create a mental block that can prevent you from getting started. The best way to overcome this fear is to reframe your mindset. Instead of viewing failure as something to be avoided, see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Embrace the idea that you will make mistakes, and that those mistakes are not failures, they're lessons on the road to success. Taking action despite fear is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. Along with confronting fear, it's essential to manage your time effectively. Time is a finite resource, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. Effective time management allows you to make the most of your available time and ensures that you stay on track with your goals. One of the most effective methods of managing time is creating a schedule or a to-do list. By allocating specific blocks of time for certain tasks, you create a sense of accountability and urgency. A schedule helps you avoid distractions and stay focused on what needs to be done. But remember, your schedule should also include time for rest and relaxation. Overworking yourself leads to burnout, which can have a negative impact on your productivity and overall well-being. The power of consistency cannot be overstated. Many people start strong but falter as time goes on. It's not the people who start fast that finish strong, it's the ones who stay consistent. Consistency is the key to building momentum, and once you have momentum, it becomes much easier to continue moving forward. This is true in every area of life, whether it's fitness, work, or personal development. Commit to showing up every day, even if it's just for a short period of time. The important thing is to stay consistent, even when you don't feel like it. Over time, these small, consistent efforts will accumulate into significant progress. Another key element of forcing yourself to get things done is accountability. When you hold yourself accountable, it's easier to stay on track and make progress. This could mean telling a friend or family member about your goals or sharing your progress on social media. Having someone else to answer to provides an external motivation to keep going. You don't want to let someone down, and knowing that someone is watching can push you to stay committed. But accountability isn't just about answering to others, it's also about holding yourself accountable. This requires being honest with yourself about your actions and recognizing when you're making excuses. Self-accountability is the foundation of personal responsibility, and it ensures that you follow through on your commitments. Lastly, the importance of self-discipline cannot be overlooked. Self-discipline is the ability to control your emotions, behavior, and habits in the face of obstacles and temptations. It's what enables you to stay focused on your goals even when distractions are all around you. Self-discipline requires practice, and it often involves doing things you don't want to do in the moment for the sake of your future success. It might mean resisting the temptation to watch TV when you know you should be working, or saying no to a night out so you can stay on track with your goals. Discipline doesn't come naturally to most people, but it can be cultivated through consistent effort. Over time, you'll find that your self-discipline becomes stronger and your ability to get things done improves significantly. Forcing yourself to get things done requires a combination of goal setting, breaking tasks into manageable steps, overcoming fear, managing time, staying consistent, being accountable, and practicing self-discipline. It's not an easy journey, but it's one that will ultimately lead you to success. Keep in mind that progress is rarely linear and setbacks are a natural part of the process. What matters is how you respond to those setbacks. Will you let them stop you, or will you use them as motivation to keep moving forward? Success doesn't come to those who wait for the perfect moment. It comes to those who take consistent action, even when they don't feel like it. Remember, every great achievement starts with a decision to take action. The moment you decide to move forward, you've already won half the battle. The other half is staying committed, showing up every day, and doing the work. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And in the end, the satisfaction of accomplishing your goals will make all the struggles along the way seem insignificant. So take that first step and then take another and keep moving forward. Success is waiting for you on the other side. My friends, America is a land of opportunity, but opportunity without action is just potential wasted. So get up, take the shot, force yourself to do the things you've been avoiding. Remember, the future you dream of is waiting for you, but only if you're willing to do the work to get there. It's your time. Make it count.